So hello, office. We're all here actually at the office, but it's fun that we actually get together to be doing something as a team. And we're probably gonna be doing a whole lot of these over the several months. So uh, I will start with saying one of the reasons why we're doing this. So any company, in order to be successful, has to sort of renew itself consistently and grow consistently throughout. So we are all kind of on the same page in that we can all kind of step in on different aspects of the company and be able to help each other out, like either doing a code analysis or code review or typing an email. There should be an identity that unites all of us. We're not making all of us equal, but we're just saying there is a very clear identity at the office, and it comes from knowledge, from skills, from training, from all of that stuff. So, and one thing that we've noticed, me and Marcus, is that all of us are doing pretty well, but not the same way. There are things that are slightly different, and it's okay if they're slightly different, but some of them could be improved. We can all improve every day. So we've developed this training so that we can kind of is a flow. I call it flow thinking. I don't know what the name really is, but it's a training that we will do every 2 weeks in which we get to talk about things that you guys want to learn that you're struggling with or you're curious about, or things that we all notice that we're not doing so great at. Like one of the things that we spoke about on Monday was how do we schedule things so that we understand the schedule and who is busy doing what. So that's something that we're still thinking about that we don't know how we're going to resolve, but that's part of this. So that should be actually part of these items. So without getting too far into the semantics, because I know we're all very busy. Like I said, every company has to have, the work that we do is one thing. Um, our own culture as a company, but also our own training so that we can continue to grow every day, right? So that training should be one of the pillars, like one of the foundations of our company. So right now the trainings haven't been taking place and we've been learning a lot, but we're now at our base point where we need to get to the next level and we're gonna get to the next level. So things that I have on the list that we're not gonna talk about all of them, but some of the and Marcos, if you want to add anything, you can jump in any minute, any time. So there are things that Yvonne talked about for a new house, zoning and framing plans and things like that. Igo has questions about Revit visibility graphics and how to make things gray. Marcos has some points about responding to emails, right way to place items in folders. I always get annoyed when I don't see the dates and things like that. So we're like, what's going on? So those are things that again set us apart from any other office that we learn how to do and we get very good at it, and it helps all of us because we don't want to have to think about those things. It's like it's already a standard, it's ready. So I put a whole bunch of other items there to like what is a construction control affidavit. I've noticed that I've been holding people to do some of the things that they know, but we should all know how to do them and what they're all about. So affidavits is one of them that I put people to do them all the time. So I want like everybody to understand what those things are, life safety plans and importance of those. And by the way, some of these things are technical and some other ones are just personal growth and general development. Resources that we have available also. Like I keep handing out books for framing plans and things like that, but like we should all know that we have those books and where are they and how to find them. Uh, Flow design process, that's a that's a baby that we keep developing. And it's gotten really good and we've gotten very good at it. And I'll show what Yvonne put together, which I created a presentation on, but I want to show you that. And then that's one thing I put in here. Everything that comes out of Flow must show Flow. It came out of Flow. Like, it's a Cadillac. A Cadillac comes out of the Cadillac, or Toyota comes out of Toyota, Maserati. So it should show that it came out of Flow. Like, it shouldn't just be like a little thing. Here's the sketch, Even if we do a hand drawn sketch, it should have the dates and, little things like, so that we know it came out of Flow. How to deal with meetings and presentations. I know that that's something that Yvonne always wants to talk about too. Like, how do we present? And we talk about it generally, but it would be nice to have a talk on that. Um, Also dealing with the stressful deadlines. That's happened. We've all been there. Me and Marcos want that not to be the case, but it's almost impossible. But sometimes it gets very difficult. So we gotta figure out how to deal with those. Also, that kind of segues into the importance of Asana, the software that we're using for software for management. And that also segues into what Yumika wants to talk about. She wanted to talk about time management, how to work more effectively or efficiently, and how to explain things with to clients, which goes into that presentation. She wants to increase her communication skills in English. All of these things are great. And like I haven't put all of the ones that everybody did. Probably Carolina already did hers, and everybody, Jose Plates did his. I didn't see it, but I know he did it. So we'll put all of this, and they're all important. And chances are, one question that Yumika is asking, uh, Julio wants to ask, and he's like, "Oh, great, somebody already asked it." So we'll all be on the same page. We'll try to make it more focused from here on, where it's just one topic per session, and we don't segue into all of them, and we'll make a list. But the goal is that eventually we'll all kind of keep growing exponentially and get to the next level. Remember how I say that diversity well managed outperforms any other team? Well, we're the most diverse I know, and now it's got to be well managed. And the only way we can achieve that is through training, knowledge, growth. Um, Marcus, you have anything to say on that? Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I think that it's gonna be good for us to kind of, and maybe later on in the future, maybe we can subdivide it, for so it covers particular items that we want, like in terms of like, the office, and maybe we tackle, all of those items that relate to that, and then professional development and those kind of things. That way we tackle those as a group. But we are excited. I think that it's needed for us to both all of us grow the same way. So I'm pretty excited to start moving along with these kind of classes for sure.
All right. So with that being said, I wanted to share to you our flow design process document that me and Yvonne worked a lot on. I know I sent it. Probably people saw it. I mean, you're not required to be checking your WhatsApp after hours, but I sent it after hours. But this is a chance where, we're all getting paid to be here doing this. So this is great. So you pay attention. We all pay attention. So this process, again, is evolved. It's been massaged. Marcos has reviewed it. Everybody has reviewed it, but there is a why for it. And I don't know if you've noticed how smooth the projects can go if we follow it. Not all projects could be like, there's not a process that works for every project. It's not all inclusive. There is no such thing as an all inclusive. Even a resort that is all inclusive, trust me, there's things that are not included. So, um, but this one sets the timeline, the process for generally how to do most of our projects, either commercial or residential, but most of them follow within this one. Like, there's condo documents, that's something different. There's structural reports, that's something different. There's projects that we just do a code analysis for them, that's something different. That's not this standard design process project. So, but this one is for most of them. And again, it's a good document for all of us to kind of get familiar with so that we know like what is flow. This is the only thing that we have that really tells people what we are. This is the first thing people see. We send it to every client, by the way. Every client says this. And most of them have been very impressed. Marcos has given me some feedback from clients that say, wow, you guys are this, you guys are that. We have tried to make it as robust without making it so big. It's 52 pages still, but so that we tackle the things that people want to know and that we protect ourselves also contractually. We show them what we're doing and they know what we're doing, and that way there's no issues with like us having to go to court to justify us, like, so we speak about, we like to make people's life better. That's really the general theme of architecture and design, right? We try to do that, and we try to do it with design. um we talk about the team here, right? We have pictures of, ideally we'll have, Julio has hair here, he's laughing. Ideally, we'll have actually a picture of all of us, which we do that big one. But I'm saying like the team, all of our faces as a roster, like that one. It just didn't fit when we were trying to do that, Yvonne. Right? We spoke about it and we tried to do it, and we just could have been very chaotic. But that's, and this test says a little bit about us. The word diversity and all of these words. And any of those words you have an issue with it, we're open to hear it and we'll fix it. Because this is what we're telling them. I mean, just this year we've talked to over 100 clients and their spouses. So multiply it times two, it's 200 people. So, and that's just, and not, even counting the contractors involved and the building inspectors involved, and everybody gets to see this stuff. So we want to make sure that we send a clear message who the team is, or credentials, right? Like, it's important that people know we're licensed in such and such a states. We are NCARB certified. We are minority business enterprise. We are We have summa cum laude graduates from the BAC. It's just saying that we graduated from the BAC, but it's good to say that we actually did a magna and summa cum laude. That's great. We're members of the AIA, so forth and so on. So all of this stuff starts telling people who we are and how we do work. And this gets updated. I keep updating this thing on and on. Testimonials, right? We click on this thing and it immediately pops up, or reviews. Actually, in an iPhone, it will actually pop the reviews, but it pops us, and then people can see all of our reviews right away. That builds trust. Why am I sending this to you? Because you guys have a company that has already a reputation. This is your company. This staff is you. 40 plus reviews. They all say your names. Most of them say our names, all of us, not just like Marcos and Darwin. They actually say Julio. I love Julio. I love Yvonne. I love, Jose Plates was so nice, was so gentle. Every time you meet a client, this is coming back to us. And you guys got to be feeling very proud of that. Like, I work at a company where people are happy and we're all happy and we try to make things work and there's no gossiping, there's no BS or anything like that. That's great stuff. So when you talk to a client, you talk like, yeah, I'm from Flow. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, yeah, I've worked at companies where I didn't even want to say I worked there. Yeah, I worked at Wendy's once. Like, no, you should be like very proud. You know what I mean? So you're proud with all these 40 plus reviews, and this is all of you. This process, again, is not perfect, but this four-step process helps us know where we are and where we should be. And we could assign weeks to these things, like, oh, this is 1 week, this is 2 weeks. So we can actually help us know how long it's going to take us to do a project too, because we can start planning. We do it for most of our design projects. Um, the define stage. Every project has a defined stage. New construction, not new construction, there is a defined stage. There is a lot. There is a constraint. There is a zoning bylaw. There is an existing conditions, existing parameters. Every project has all of that stuff. And that first step is for us to identify those parameters. Some of it from the client giving it to us. Most of it actually giving it to us. Some of it is us going to the site. It could be a plot plan, a survey, any of that stuff. Helps us define the project and understand the project before we draw. That's like, it's critical. It's like the paper where you're gonna draw, right? Like the law, the constraints, all of that stuff. We keep showing this to clients, but sometimes some of us don't even know why we're doing it and how we're doing, like what's going on. All of this stuff is critical. Some of these are aimed at new construction. So, but this is aimed at this particular project that we use for A Urban. But what's the property? What's the zoning district? What's allowable? Any structural concerns? All the stuff is very, very important. But then there's these other things about adjacencies to sites, what's next to it, what's in front of it, views. There's this new thing that we dealt with on a new project, which was view sidelines that we cannot block because there is a view, very, very beautiful view on Windham, New Hampshire that we got to protect. That's an easement for views. Where I had never had to deal with it. I knew about it, but I never had to deal with it. That's part of the define stage. This we got to show the clients on the define stage. It shows that we understand the project, because if this is different, everything is different. We had a project with Yvonne where the FAR wasn't properly identified. And I'm saying names not to pinpoint anything. It's a learning experience, okay? So, and we were maximizing the FAR by a lot. It wasn't properly being identified. If early on we would have gotten an understanding of what this was, that would not been a problem. It actually was a good time to do this. It was a safe mistake. It's a horrible mistake when you're doing construction documents on it. That's really it. So this got to be done at the right step. This is where we define all the stuff. What are the setbacks? What's the green area where we can actually build? Most of our projects, I mean, about 90% of our projects, we do this thing for. Um, the existing conditions. Why don't we put dimensions in them? Because we are liable for those dimensions. Because if they happen to be an inch and a half different, we go to court and you are wrong. And we don't want to be wrong on that stuff. Okay. So we don't show them, but we know they're generally accurate. Otherwise, we wouldn't design with them. We always do that. We show them the spaces. This is their chance to tell us, nope, you're wrong. That's not what my house looks like. It might have been the wrong lot. It might have been the wrong house. It has happened with Patrick, actually, that he surveyed the wrong property. Imagine that. right? Because the address was wrong, and the client actually gave it wrong. So it was like, what? The client has to pay all that stuff. And I don't want to turn this into like liability protection, but it actually turns out to be liability protection. You know, it's not just about that. It's about us doing a great design that works, but understanding all of these things. Why the different things that are going on? We even showed them a 3D. This stuff nobody else is doing with this process. This is copyrighted stuff. Nobody else is doing. We haven't signed. Why? Because if any of these changes, we got a change order. And it might not be a change order in money, but it might be a change order in time. And sometimes we're stressed, like, oh my gosh, I have to do a new house in 2 weeks. Well, wait a minute. They changed the windows on this thing. We got to redraw all the windows. Can you adjust the time by 2 days, 3 days? Doesn't matter. Some of us can use 2 days on a design, right? Or 3 days. That works. So all of this step one happens for most of our projects. We got to do it like this. And we send it to a client for signature. How do we do that? Everybody has a license for Adobe, hopefully. And you go to tools, go to request signature, and after you click on request signature, it's gonna pop up an email, like a little box. And we're gonna write the email. Let's say it's Darwin Fortuna that needs to sign it, right? I always put the person that's gonna sign goes in here. Then we always do it at CC. It may be the wife, it may be the husband, it may be a friend that is involved in the project, maybe the contract, whoever really needs to know about this, and ask. If you know, if when in doubt, you can ask. We are here. But most of the time it's the spouse and then Marcos, which is and Marcos and I. Most of the time, Marcos and I. It doesn't have to be Marcos and I for all of them. Like, if you're working with Marcos, just CC Marcos. That's okay. If you're working with me, you can CC me, and that's okay. If I'm not around, then CC Marcos. You get the point? There's always should be 2 or 3 people involved in the project. One from the client. In this case, let's say Julio Gutierrez is, uh, the husband of the Win Fortuna, and then we have Yvonne Perez is the principal in charge, right? We do that and then click specify where to sign. Now, of course, there's an error because I'm putting the signature for myself. It says you cannot sign because it's yourself. So I'm gonna put Marco Severino as a signature person. We specify where to sign. It's gonna update this thing, and then I'll show you how to sign it. Again, this is legal. No other office has been doing that in any other offices I worked at. Ron, I'm sorry. It's not because if any of these changes, we can't keep chasing our tails. Oh, this thing is actually taking forever. But we can't be like, the project. You can't hit a target that keeps moving. You get what I'm saying? Your target is that project. If that project keeps changing, you will never be able to finish it. And that's when we get into something called scope creep, which is you're doing more work than what you actually were supposed to do, what you hire for, and you're actually financing the job at that point. So if this keeps doing that, I'm gonna have to just open a new one and forget about it. But does it make sense so far? We're good, Marcus, so far. Now, of course, a roar had to happen, but it will be something like that, and you will have to put a little signature field, and then you're gonna tell it, to sign, and then you're gonna put a date field, and then you're gonna put a little box for each one of these, whichever they want to pick. Let me see if I can do it real quick, because I do want to represent that. Now, while this thing wants to work, it doesn't work. Request signature, yeah. I'm gonna just forget about it. I'm just gonna put that and then try to specify what to sign. Now, while this is loading, I don't want to waste too much time. I want to show you something. We have this proposal template. This is our actual contract. In our actual contract, we say that we're gonna be doing the project, if the contract says it, in 4 stages: define, envision, design, and document. And actually, we're bound by this contract to actually have 4 meetings for the client. And one will be for define, one will be for envision, one will be for design, one will be for document. We haven't been doing all of them. Sometimes we do things in 2 meetings, 3 meetings. Sometimes it takes 5 and we don't charge them because we're very reasonable people. But technically, we should charge extra if there's an extra meeting. We're very good. That's why we got over 40 degrees. Well, 40 degrees, 40 plus reviews, because we're good. But we want to limit the amount of meetings so that we can actually say, oh, hold on one second. We only have 4 meetings. And these are each one of these stages. Now, this thing is having an issue. It says the file is too long. It actually is too big. So that explains why it doesn't work. but they get to sign it and approve it, and we don't move forward until until we get that sign. I always tell my clients to go to step two right from the beginning, because this is on them to show us their big picture. What is it that they want? How does it look? How does it work? And generally speaking, it's their house. I always say that it's your house, not mine. So if generally, if this stuff has a bunch of big pictures, we should have some pink in your house because it should look like what you want it to look. It's not my house. We use their ingredients to design their house. You know what I mean? These are the ingredients. We are the chef. You give me the ingredients, and I'll make you a beautiful meal. So on this sample project, we actually are giving ourselves a little shout out because we use some of our own projects. That's great stuff. That sheet shows our ambition with some of our projects, our images. These are like the images that the client brings. The idea is that this is their taste. This is their concept. This is why we're so rich as a company, because we can do a modern house. We can do a traditional house. So people come to us and say, "Oh, I don't see modern traditional houses in your website," and we're like, "We can do all of them." What? Yeah, we can do all of them. We do your project. Check. Take a look at ambition shape stage. Is what you want. Here they put a wish list. Now, one is so that we get the design right. Like, meaning, generally speaking, their wish list got to be met. The amount of bedrooms, the amount of living rooms, the amount of additions, or if it's a store where the payment location is, where the display is, if it's a hospital where the treatment rooms are, that's their program. They got to give that to us because otherwise we don't know what we're designing. The other thing is the look and feel generally. I don't want to get into I don't like it or I like it type of thing because that's very subjective. It's not about whether you like. I'm gonna make something you like with what you gave me. If you don't like what you gave me, then we gotta change order in here because you don't want that house. Remember Christian Crocker, one of our clients? She's okay with me saying it. Actually, I spoke to her. I will say her name. We did two houses for her, one modern, one traditional. She changed our entire vision board. The entire project changed. So we had to do two different houses. We actually had to charge twice for that project because she changed this stage. If this stage changes, everything changes. All right. If she suddenly doesn't want 5 bedrooms, we got to do three. That's a change order. And it doesn't mean a change order for money only. It is money most of the time, but it's time because we do want more time. And I don't want, me and Marcos don't want anybody to get frustrated because they don't have enough time to design something. It means something went wrong. If you feel like there's not enough time, because me and Marcos do try to allow a lot of time, it's because something went wrong. What is it? Well, we just got the site today and we have a design meeting tomorrow. Whoa, 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 whoa. You just got the site today? Then there is no meeting tomorrow. That really is the answer, you know? So, oh, we just got the survey, a few hours ago. Well, then you can't have envision. You haven't sent define yet because the define is the plot plan. If you don't have the plot plan, you can't be done. All right. And now we do have flexibility with this game, right? It's our rules. It's our rules. We know when to break them. We just can't allow them to break them. You get what I mean? Like we break them. Like, oh, you know what? We have wiggle room. We'll send everything together. I've sent step one and step two at the same time because they've already sent me all of this stuff early on. So then I send it and I get approved and I move to step three right away. But I don't change the timeline. I still gonna do it for 6 weeks. You know what I mean? Because whatever I said on the contract, everybody has access to this contract. What Flow makes is not secret. Anybody knows what Flow makes. No other company does this, right? So you know this stuff. I mean, I don't want you to go broadcast it to the whole world. I mean, you shouldn't. In fact, everybody here has signed a non-disclosure agreement, whether you know it or not. There are things that you can't disclose. But so, long story short, why? This is what you're doing. What we're saying here is what you're doing. The amount of things that we're saying here is what you're doing. If you find yourself doing something that's not here, tell me and tell Marcos because something is wrong. All right. This is what you're not doing. If there's something in here that you're doing that says that you're not supposed to be doing, we got to change that. It's either we're overcharging the client or undercharging the client. Both are equally wrong because it means it's money out of all of our pockets that's coming out or the client's pocket that's coming out, and that's stealing, right? We're not stealing here. So, and I'm being very strong on this because everything is tied to this contract. They signed this. This is what we're gonna go to court and fight about if we ever have to. Hopefully we haven't have to, and we will never have to. Terms and conditions. Understand these things too, because you are to abide by that. It's not like when we say we're gonna do the project within 2 weeks. It's not like if you feel like doing it within 2 weeks. No, we gotta do it within 2 weeks. If they then push things, get it in writing. Hey, honor, you've sent us the plot plan today. We have not been able to finalize the fine. We got to move on. We got to add another week to the project because of that. Right. And me and Marcos are typically managing that stuff. But the idea is that all of you will be eventually somehow managing some of this stuff. Right. So we get the signature. We've done, we could have already moved on to step 3 and we could be designing. We shouldn't, but we could be. This is a wiggle room right here because if they haven't signed it, well, we can't schedule our step 3 meeting. You haven't signed step 1, step 2. If you design without this being signed, then we are absorbing the liability of the change. Because if it turns out that they send us a list that's not what we thought the list was going to be, then we have no resource to actually fight back for time. Okay? Same idea. They got to sign it, they got to approve it. Step 3. Then I can actually say, okay, we got 2.5 weeks to do our design. And what do we do on our design? Generally speaking, we don't size beams and columns. We don't do everything spec'd out. We don't show you every detail. It's general stuff. The pros and cons actually we've learned from the team that should be at the end that we say it, not at the beginning, because we don't want the clients to come in with, oh, we doesn't have 3 bedrooms. That's probably, you know what I mean? Like, we don't want that. So we're gonna move this to actually later on to after the option is shown, after both options are shown. Why? Because we wanna, here's your cake, and we're the chef, and we'll tell you how beautiful the cake is. And then later on, I'll tell you what's bad about the cake. Because we want them to sign on one or the other. That's really what we want. We show plans for the both options. We show elevations for the both options. We spin the model around, which is something we do that we can't show here. Well, we spin the model around. We show renderings, and there are levels of services. Not every project should have this level of service. Maybe the rendering for some projects that are like we'll talk like might be like this. That's it. That's all we're showing them for the proposed. Period. No Lumion, no video, no this, no that. No, forget about it. That's cost too, because sometimes I do, even though the fee might not include it, I do want to bribe this client. It may be a good opportunity. We're friendly on this end, right? It's a client is gonna, I mean, Chris, one of our clients, has already sent us 2 projects, 3 projects. So we want to make sure that we wow them. So we do that. Okay. And you're gonna grab step 1, step 2 to do step 3. You cannot be just making things up. I mean, sometimes we do give them a bonus, like we do add a deck or add a little connection. That's okay. We have flexibility. We just can't not add something that they told us they wanted. That's different. All right. If they told us they don't want something, you don't put it. If they told us they want something, you put it. All right. If they didn't tell us that they didn't want it and you think it's great for the design, you can put it. All right. So again, these are 2 ways of doing everything. Everything in gray is the new, everything in white is existing. As you can see, it's intensive for that renovation. We show all that stuff. Right. We've been also showing clips to everybody. They can literally click on this link and it's great. It's awesome because immediately they click on this thing, it brings them to this. Dude, we're transferring people to our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube presence and they see what this is gonna look like. Nobody else is doing this stuff out there. Nobody. I'm telling you for sure. We're the only ones that are getting this level of excitement, this level of work, this level of thoroughness, right? Why do we do it? This video is not just for them because we want to wow them, to clarify expectations. If they sometimes they don't get to see that there's a cathedral ceiling in there. Sometimes they don't get to see that the island is open. We want to clarify expectations. Then we do the step 2. Same idea, different concept. 2 ways of doing the same thing. Both of these houses should meet the requirement from the client. Don't send them something that doesn't meet the requirements that they wanted. If it doesn't work, it happened with one project that we're talking about, that what they want doesn't work how they want it. I would create it, save it, and show it as a backup, and then show 2 options. Because we got to deliver what they want. We won't do construction documents for what they want if it doesn't work, right? So that's the thing. And we do a clip for it. We show them side by side. Great. They sign it. After they sign it with one option selected or a combination of the two, we move on to construction documents. Doesn't mean that you're sitting here. What's going on here? Is somebody talking? I heard something weird. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I just the thing kept playing. He kept playing videos in the background. Sorry. So, long story short, you don't move on until they sign this. But technically, you could be setting up the permit sheets and the permit plans and everything because you know that's gonna happen. That's if you don't have anything else. If you have other project, you should be doing the other step one for the other project. In the meantime, this gives us wiggle room. They do take some time to sign. They take a few days. They take that's your time to move on to another project. Let me break it down to everybody. We can't just be doing one job at the same time. Sorry. If we will not be profitable, we will not be able to grow, we will not be able to have a building, we will not be able to pay you more if you can only handle one job at the same time. We should have two, three jobs on your plate that you work one day or another day or this and that. And I'm already answering your questions on some of the management of time. You know, this is the wiggle room. Don't move on to step 3 or 4 if you don't have approvals, unless you don't have anything else to do. They sign it. We finish this, and you provide very detailed set of drawings, very detailed call outs of what you know. If you don't know something, say coordinate with owner to be determined, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, they sign it, we send the drawings, and we're done. We do have this where we're explaining the level of services. This ties into our contract. On our proposal, it says level of services. How much something costs depends on how much work it takes. Period. People call me and say, I want a deal. Can you give me a discount? And I'm like, how about we don't do the bedroom? You can't ask me to do 5 things for the same price and reduce the price. You know? Oh, there are two things that you got to think about. And Julio has been one of the most strong contributors on that end. Darwin, I can't do 20 sheets of drawings for the time of one sheet of drawing or like of 100 sheet of drawings. Like I can't do, we got to manage the time. You know what I mean? Like I can't give you the same thing for the same time. It just doesn't work. So this is why we have this 3 levels of services. We have barely done any Corinthian level of work. That takes months of design intensive projects. We've been almost here most of the time. Most of our time we've been here. So that means should you be doing detailed coordination plans or not? Should you be doing detailed RCPs or not? There are projects that we don't do an RCP for. Why? Well, they're gonna put their lighting together themselves. I don't care. You know what I mean? Because they're not paying for it. They're not entitled to it. We don't owe it to them. They don't owe it to us. You know, the moment you're doing something you're not supposed to, you're giving away your profit, the company's profit, if you're not supposed to. If you're gonna be doing something because you feel like they are a great client, you can ask us, me and Marcos. You know what? I want to do a nice rendering for this client. Why? Well, we connected very much. I think they're great. Let's give them these. And you can tell me and Marcos, and chances are we're gonna say yes, give it to them. But don't give out something because it means then that's something else you could have been doing, buddy. We could have been working on another project. Why did you do such a nice rendering for this client? They didn't deserve it. Now, this process doesn't work for everything again. We're doing new relationships with new developers that we don't do these steps with them, right? Some of the steps might be done, some might not be done. And now again, we created these graphics to explain when one is included and when the other one is not. Most of our building permits, little jobs that we do for a contractor are these, Doric. And if you don't know what Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian are, we all went to architectural school. We should check that out. Those are the levels of the different details. So this is what you should be doing for all of these things. What does it include? I mean, you can sell these services to anybody, any of you. Well, do you want a Doric, Ionic, or Corinthian? What do you mean? Well, it's the level of service. Doric means, you know, it's not like a platinum type of suite. It's a regular suite. You know, you can use metaphors to explain it. Ionic, Corinthian. And that's how Julio comes back to me and says, whoa, 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 Darwin, we're giving these guys like super realistic renderings and videos, but they actually are on a Doric. And those videos take like 3 weeks. And you want it by Friday, you got to find somebody else to do it because I'm not doing it. So it's like, no, it's not like that. It's like, I'll give you half of a rendering by then. That's what he would say. Like, I'll give you what I can do by that time, right, Julio? That's what it is. Julio sits right next to me. He's gonna punch me in the face. But really, because you can come back to me and say, Yvonne can come back to me, or Igo can come back to me and say, ho, 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 ho. I'm doing a 6 story at the existing conditions. Like I can do that in a day or a week, Darwin. It takes longer than that. My expectations, you can help me figure out my expectations because here's how my expectation work. This is what I think it's gonna take. This is what it actually is gonna take. Here's what the client thinks it's gonna take. We gotta find the middle line between all of those things. What I think it's gonna take and what you are gonna take, right? Gotta match plus a contingency amount of a week or two, right? And I like to sugarcoat things to the clients. Yes, because I gotta sell this. I gotta put food in everybody's table. Marcos and I have to put food in everybody. So sometimes I gotta say, 4 weeks is a realistic time. We'll try to do it for 3, if possible. If possible. I don't put 3 on the contract. I put 6 or 4. You know what I mean? I don't put 3, but I like to sell the project, sign the proposal, because that's how on Fridays you get a paycheck. If we don't get the project, we're not gonna get a paycheck. So that's a lot of stress. So I'm in the middle of making sure you don't go crazy with a lot of work, and in the middle of not looking so stupid with the timeline that the client will say no or the fee. And I'm like, it's a compromise. So Marcos and I are on that compromise. We call each other all the time. What do you think, Mark Darwin? What do you think it's gonna cost for this? Well, I think it's gonna take this much. We did one like that. I don't know. What do you think? Well, ask Julio like how long it's gonna take him. We ask you. We ask you like, oh, it's gonna take this much, you know. Um, but I still have to sell these projects. Me and Marcos have to sell this project. Long story short, this is how we break down our fees. This is how we break down all that stuff, and that kind of completes that first session. It's a combination of this contract, which I created a whole presentation as to how to write a contract, and I explained everything in detail, and um, some of the items that we spoke about that I wanted to talk about. We still have
Yeah.
like some time. So Marcos, I'll give it away to you for now.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I would totally wanted to respond to Carolina's question. She asked in the chat, if somebody says, agree on an email on the drawings. It had happened in the past. You could use bring emails to a court, showing that they agree with these drawings. Sometimes clients are like, oh, I send you an email. I see that I approve these plans, existing condition drawings, and you could say, okay, it's basically like agreeing that the existing conditions is what they are. So hopefully that respond, Carolina, your question.
Yeah, and
Yes.
Carolina, another thing. Yes, the email could be a substitute to the signature file. Guess what? My grandma's 65. She might want a home edition project. She doesn't know how to sign this thing and DocuSign it and print it. She's gonna send me a text, thumbs up, looks great. Actually, that's too smart for her to actually send me a text. But these days she actually even sends a voice note. So, but they're gonna say to you, "Yeah, looks good. I like it. Go ahead." That you print that, screenshot it. Julio's favorite tool is in Revit is the snipping tool. He does the snipping tool, saves it, and uses it. That's the same. That goes to court. Things that you gotta put on that snipping tool if you're gonna screenshot it: time, date, name of who sent it, and where it came from. Like those things gotta be put in there because anybody could send any email. But in court, we gotta know where it came from, who said it, when they signed it, and the time they signed it, and the day they signed it. Okay. And I get very scientific on the timelines and all this stuff. Is there's a reason, guys. There's a reason. We've had enough of a little issue that hasn't come up to a big level. It's been resolved and looks great. Everything's great. Everybody's happy. But we got to prevent. Right. So in step 3, we don't size columns and beams. Some clients were like, you never told me. Then the beam cost like $10,000. I'm like, I showed you there was gonna be a beam. I didn't tell you how big or how what the size was, or even the material. I didn't tell you any of that stuff. Why? Because we don't know. Imagine if I have to size every single beam. So that was one case where somebody was actually trying to hold us liable for a design scheme that show a beam, but it wasn't the size that they wanted it to be for the price. I don't deal with pricing. I design. you know, I size what it's gonna stand, and I will size it at the particular time when we do construction documents. Right? All the thing, timelines. Really, some people, if you're off by a date, they're gonna send you to court. Most of our clients don't. And most of the time, we send it before. We like that. That's great. But we never change our contracts on our contract time. Me and Julio the other day were looking through contracts like, oh crap, did I say a week? No, I actually said 2 to 3 weeks. It actually will be 2.5 weeks. You know what I mean? We deliver it before, great. We don't want to be delivering things before all the time either. Why? It means you're not busy. It really does. It really shows people, well, you're not busy enough, you're doing it so fast. And then it also means I'm probably overpaying you. Why? Because if it takes you a day and I'm giving you $10,000 for that thing, what the heck is that? Right? Then you're overcharging me. What's your hourly rate? Can you give me a timesheet? Show me. Some people actually ask me for timesheets, times. How long is it take you? And I'm like, actually, one time it happened. It was one bad time. They wanted to know every minute, every second, every time spent. Your timesheets are very important. That helps me and Marcos know whether we're charging the right amount and whether we're putting the right times on our contracts. Right? We're gonna have to do an audit eventually of all those times. We've been so busy we haven't had a time, but that's part of managing a firm. So it's on us. We got to do it. But with that being said, I want to talk a little bit quickly about emails, very quickly, very quickly. So you guys can still see my screen. So I have these little post-its. Some of you, Yumika, for example, has a million post-its right in front of their screen, like physical post-its. It's great for things that they do that she does all the time, that she wants to know or whatever. I have it for emails. Probably Marcos has something similar on his draft or emails. We have the same four-step process for every client. It's the same thing. Change the client's name, change the client's project address and project number, and you can send literally similar email. I like to add a little charm of something that's particular to that client, right? Other than the name, because I mean, we're not robots, we're people, right? We're humans. So that's another thing. We don't want to be robots because, but for us to become the Amazon of architecture, we have to have some sort of consistency with our emails. So me and Marcos, we copy each other in every email. And I'm trying not to show anything too particular, but you know but in every email we have some draft emails where we have like a standard talk, and I don't have one right in front of me, but it is this, right? Post consultation. Hello everyone, it was a pleasure meeting with you to discuss your project. Great. I have attached a proposal to provide. So it's always like the little greeting. Hey, how was baseball yesterday? Great. Go good. Yeah, it's sunny. American standard stuff. How was the weather? Like, how were the kids? That's the first thing. It was a pleasure talking to you yesterday and your kids. You have a great family. I really like that window in your house. That charm, add that little charm. And you gotta be genuine about it. If you don't like anything, don't say anything. That's okay. But I have attached, and then here's a greeting, and here's what I'm here for. I have attached or a proposal or the services that would deem necessary for your project. As mentioned, we will require a deposit. I always reiterate the same thing I've already talked to the client on. Why? Because this is what goes to court. Not what I told him on the phone or in person. This is what goes to court. Okay? There are people that will call you and say, you told me you were going to do that. And I'll say, what I told you in the contract and what I told you in the email is what I told you. I'll tell you right now, me and Marcos, I have a great memory. One of the best memories I've ever seen anybody have. I have too many projects to remember everything at this point. It's gotten beyond me at this point. So I can't remember everything I promised everybody. Sometimes I'm like, did I promise you 3,000? Did I promise you 5,000? I don't know. Let me check the contract. Let me check what I said. Because I don't want to tell a client a price or a time. Did I say I was going to do it by yesterday? What? Like, was I out of my mind? I text them right away or email them. We're gonna do this by as soon as I get out of the phone, I email them. All right. And then blah yada yada. Here's the proposal, outlines our steps. We look forward to working with you and making a difference or whatever in your project. And me and Marcos have been doing this little fun thing. Next steps. And we actually do like step one, review and sign contract and provide deposit. Right? Whatever payment method we're gonna use, whatever that happens to be. Step two, we begin step one. Step three, we do this. Why? People like a checklist or an action plan so that they know what they're doing. That's a fact. Me and Marcos work with our little checklist. Yvonne works with her little checklist. Everybody has a checklist of what they're doing. They like to know what's next. So I'm telling you what's next before you ask me what's next. Guess what? I already know that. Why? because we are playing a game we created. We are the masters of our own game. We know how to play it. All right. Then I have one for post consultation prior to initial consultation. Hello, Christian. Thank you for reaching out to me regarding your project. We're thrilled to assist you and look forward to meeting with you of our initial consultation. I have attached some information about us and our services. Guess what that information is that I have attached? This document that Yvonne created with me that I started creating a long time ago and didn't work before, but it works now. Um, so we're touching all that people, right? And that aligns how we work. Contractually, they know how we work. So they later on, if they say, "What do you mean step two? What do you mean step? Did you check your email? No, that's your problem, not mine, right?" And I don't want to turn this into me versus me or me versus you. But at the end of the day, it does come down to that. Like Julio covers his ass here. Yvonne covers her butt too. Why? How? Doing what she's supposed to do. If I say, "Hey Julio, we need to do plans elevation section," he writes it down. And then if I look at the sled and I come back to him, and it hasn't happened, it doesn't happen. And I'm like, "Where's the RCP?" He could say, "Well, there wasn't an RCP on the contract. There wasn't an RCP anywhere." So he's covering himself. He covers all of us at the same time, right? I want all of you to cover all of us. Egress windows in bedrooms, window wells in basement bedrooms, fire smoke detectors, combos in bedroom. You know what I mean? Like things like that. We all cover each other, right? Contractually. So this chain is the paper trail that is gonna all go to court. And it turns out to be, oh gosh, I don't want to show you my paperwork. A big pile from the first email all the way to the end. And we have to cohesively throughout the whole project have shown that we've been responsive. Even if we're gonna be late, we gotta let them know. Hey, listen, I think I'm a few days late. Is it okay if I deliver it by this time? Yes, no, okay, whatever. You know, be always responsive because you have to create a record. Have you heard how important a record is in the United States? A reputation. Look at our amount of projects we got right now as of today, March 17th, and look at that in 2018. We've created a record. We've have more projects now than what we had the entire year of 2018 because our reviews, your work, your passion, your talent has brought a record of consistency, showing up on time or not on time, Julio. Julio's gonna tweet after this one.
10 minutes, man.
He's like, it's just 10 minutes out. But it's a record. I know when to expect Julio. I know Yvonne's gonna be early, and I know Carolina and I are gonna be early, right? I know, like I know that stuff. It's a record. We notice that stuff. It creates a reputation. Now that reputation, again, I'm giving general advice on a lot of different things here, Marcos, and I think Marcos is nodding because he agrees. If he doesn't, he's gonna tell me. He does tell me no. So why? Everybody's creating a record. Julio Gutierrez has a record of amazing existing conditions. Record, proven. I can use that guy on any existing condition. It's gonna look great. How did he create it? Did he do it at the beginning like that? No. It was bumpy. Everybody has a bumpy road at the beginning, but he created a record. Yvonne has a record of consistent design that the clients like and consistent communication with clients. So I feel very good with Yvonne talking to a client. I've been there. I didn't have to be there yesterday on a meeting that we had. She handled it perfect. You know what I mean? So it was all great. There's always room for improvement, but she has a record. Carolina has a record of talking. I don't want to go on everybody, but of talking to our Brazilian clients. She's good at it. She can handle them. You know, Yumika has a record on her own process. I mean, Yumika does the best pre-existing condition package. Before you go to measure a building, you gotta see what she puts together. I mean, that thing is ready for construction documents. Amazing stuff, right? And I can go on and on everybody, right? Everybody has a talent, right? Julio can check off a design out of his butt for in a second. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. He's awesome. He's like, Darwin, no.
I have a very bullet that I can find a lot
Smart boy. He set up joke. So long story short, the importance of a record. Now coming back to this, and I have 6 more minutes and any like 1 more minute reminder. Um, we that record is important. This we have the post. I want you, and I did it yesterday with Yumika, Igo, I mean, and even Carolina. Like we all talked about our step one email. And I said, Yumika, can you show Aigo how you do the step one email, how to do the signature? That's awesome. Yumika was teaching Aigo how to do that yesterday before she left. Amazing, right? Yvonne was teaching something to, well, actually, Yvonne showed how to do res checks to some other people here. It's great when we can cross pollinate. That's the purpose of this, cross pollinate, right? Julio sees every design. Why? Because Julio is the master here on design, right? So he can do that. I'm the master at writing proposals. No, actually, Marcos is. I'm the master at not writing proposals. So we have a talent. All of us have a talent. And if we don't cross pollinate and teach the others, how are we going to handle big projects with Gensler that we're going to be handling it? It's going to be a nightmare. Horrible, right? This firm could almost work in autopilot. I like that. Marcus could be sick, God forbid, or I could be sick, God forbid. You guys know. Now you guys know, hey, Yvonne, can you talk to the guy for me? You know what I mean? You know, like you can figure out who can fill in that gap. Oh, Jose, we got a new project. Marcos and Darwin are not here. I spoke with them about the step process, and I need somebody to go measure. Can you go measure that for us? Like, it's not you being Jose's boss. Jose might as well could do run the whole job by himself. And I don't want anybody to ever feel like somebody's bossing them because that person is telling them to do something too. It's not like that. Yvonne might be overseeing Yumika in a project. Yumika might be overseeing Yvonne on an interior design project. Julio might be overseeing 3 people on another project. And it's not that Julio is better than any of you. It just happens that he's running that job. And how, you know that we give jobs to people depending on their attributes we see within them that will fit with that project. Yumika was doing a project. She's Japanese. The client has been to Japan. They pretend to speak Japanese, so we gave it to them. Carolina has been working with a lot of Brazilian clients. There's a rapport there. Julio got a client for us from a job that he had from Mexico. He's running that job. So there are attributes that we see, you know, that fit you in, and you may be managing that job for that. To continue with the emails, we want to see a title with the project number, project name, and what is it that you're really talking about here. Okay. Most of my emails, if not all, say project number and project like the I'm actually let's go to send emails. Any email, pick you 115 Arlington, new house design, right? Any email, 7 Greenleaf, at least the name. This one just has a name, but it was to Yvonne, it wasn't to the client. But to the client, to the client, I always put 2729 South Street to Family Project. That's the title, project number, name, and what it is. And all of these emails, I mean, you name it. All of these emails, well, yeah, most of them, there are emails that have nothing to do with the project, but they have the project title, project title. So always that stuff, right? So when you're writing an email, just so I close it, the little greeting, here's what I'm talking about, here's what I want. Thank you so much. And here's what's next. That's really it. That's it. It could be I mean, the best email that I've seen, Carolina created it yesterday, like for step one. Please, here we go. Please find attached or step one package, existing conditions, in parentheses, very nice, for the existing house at 115 Arlington Street. Please review and approve, confirming that this generally defines the property as it currently is. Excellent. I will send this as an electronic signature file as well. After having you sign the file and send us a list of what you envision for the property, step 2, we will be able to proceed to step 3. Awesome. I mean, she hit it right out of the park. Right out of the park. That's like, I mean, it was better than what I would put it. I would write a whole freaking essay. People don't want to read an essay. That's awesome. Please let us know if you have any questions. And of course, you have your name, best regards, blah, blah, blah. Perfect. It says what the next step is. You don't have to do the next 1, 2, 3. You just have to tell them what's next. That's all. And with that being said, I cover our introduction document. Everybody's clear with that. I'm gonna upload this to YouTube, but not everybody will have access to it. Only us, Flow. So I will give you access to it. Last little thing, we created a new folder that you have on your desktop called, let me show you. It's called Flow Resources and Education. All of you have access to that. It includes a folder that says Microsoft templates, templates for code review, templates for proposals, templates for drawing lists, templates for consultants, templates for the binders. You know, we have binders and covers. We haven't been using that as much. How to write the binder, how to put it up, templates for how to write a letter to anybody. I'll tell you one thing. This is not me. I didn't make this up. Marcos didn't make it up. We borrowed it. You can borrow it too for writing a letter to a friend, for writing a letter to another person, to a doctor. You can adapt this. I'm not gonna fight you and sue you for it. All right. Just don't put our name in, of course. But these are very nice standard ways of how to do certain things. So me and Marcos don't have to always think like, oh, I gotta write a proposal. Let me start from scratch. No, you don't start from scratch. So that's one. Education and professional development. We got flow thinking, which is this area right here. I have PDF trainings, office trainings, flow thinking session notes. That's the list of all the things that we talked about. I'm gonna be creating a folder where all of these things, starting from today, will be saved on top of the YouTube channel that you can access when you're drinking margarita in Cancun. You can watch it. Um, so PDF trainings, there is stuff in here, guys. There is already stuff in here, like a bunch of great stuff in here. If there's something that shouldn't be there, let me know. This is a compilation of stuff from a lot of places. You know, full disclosure, we're not perfect. We made mistakes. But here is like training on almost anything that we have deemed necessary. There is also 3D modeling and CAD precedents. There is some SketchUp models, Rhino models, Revit models, and other models that we've used that you can borrow things from. It's about learning and professional development. Architectural precedents. I want you to create your own folders of architectural precedents for houses, for whatever that you like, and say it to us. Hey guys, I saw this house. I saw that. You know, I really like these little cabinets here at the lower right corner from Amaplum. They're beautiful. I love them. So I put them in here. But nobody knows that that exists. Nobody knows that that exists. Now you do. And now you can create your own folder of precedents of things that you've liked that you think are cool. Eventually, you'll be doing these seminars, these little sessions, and you're going to talk to us about such and such project or such and such thing, right? So, life and professional life advice. By the way, there's actually personal advice in here, and I don't mind sharing it. I was struggling picking up red lines once upon a time. And I told my one of my friends, mentors, I said, dude, like I keep messing up with these red lines. You know, some of you have been there, and I'm gonna really end it with this. I could not, for the life of myself, and I don't want to cry, do like highlight all the red lines and do them all after somebody marked them up. I would struggle. I could not do it all thoroughly. Like I will always need something. I'm like, shit, what's going on? I know why. I was a student, just like you, most of you, and I was rushing to get out because I wanted to go kick ass at school because that's where I wanted to kick ass. I didn't care about work so much. I do that, you guys do. And this guy told me, hey, listen, I used to enjoy picking up red lines. You get the satisfaction of actually completing something. Haha. Be very methodical about going through the drawings and highlight every mark as you complete it. It's important to be able to look at the markups and see any notes that have not been highlighted. That's why we use red for our markups. That's why it's called red line. You got everybody has a highlighter. I use my highlighter for my tasks for the day. I've only completed two. Um, right? Also highlight as you highlight a note, stop to think. This is a good one. As you highlight a note, stop to think if it impacts any other sheets or drawings that may have been forgotten by the person doing the markups. If you change the beam size on a plan, you got to go in the section and change the size too, thoroughly throughout. So you got to stop and think. Now, slow down. You are all getting paid to do this. You're not. This is not something like, oh, I gotta get rid of it. I gotta get it done. No, no, no. This is something you should enjoy. This is something that you're getting paid for. This is something that's fun. So take your time to do it. And he also says, better to be correct than fast when picking up red lines. You can dump in your own advice in here. There was one funny advice. There was it was a funny one. Somebody actually told me something. But again, you can read it later. But you have access to it. Somebody told me that I couldn't be portraying myself as a principal, and guess here's we are. I'm a principal. Like, just don't let people hold you back in your life. You know, in any way, shape, or form. You guys can accomplish everything you want, and me and Marcus are very proud of all of you. And we're gonna keep kicking butt. We're gonna do amazing. All right. With that being said, I'm gonna close it in here. I'm gonna upload this, browse around, take a look at stuff, upload anything in there and get familiar with it. And we'll continue doing these trainings every 2 weeks. God bless you.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. That's funny. We're like, thank you, and then we're.